Good evening and welcome and happy Mother's Day out there. I'm tonight with a live stream. Fight CPS. Stop taking our children. This is my evening show. Um, I'm your host, Bob Pace, and I am. First of all, I really want to wish those mothers a happy Mother's Day. And I was trying to do something special for my mother, not my mother, my wife, who's a mother. She has birthed 5 of my 6 children. And so I have six children I've helped raise them, but she's a mother of 5 of them, and she's quite a mother. But we got stuck on a ferry boat trying to get back to my 7 o'clock showtime starting out. And it did not work out that well. The ferry boat was stuck. I mean, I had no control over it. I thought about trying to do it on my phone on the ferry boat, but I don't think that would be important enough to do that. Anyway, I'm here tonight. I'm about an hour and 40 minutes late, and I do apologize. But I know how important it is for you guys, even on Mother's Day, to get help with your CPS case. I too have been a victim of CPS. I've been fighting for 15 years. And my family went through a horrible time and been so damaged by them. I've lost everything. First, I lost my job, which had nothing to do with CPS. Unfortunately, in the line of work I relied on government contracts. And when the state of California was going bankrupt, they're withholding construction funds that were awarded to me and wrote me IOUs. Well, taking IOU to the bank, especially if the banks went upside down, was worthless. They didn't want to give me a credit line. So I couldn't start these jobs. I could sue the government, but my owner didn't want to. So it'd take a lot of money to sue. You're talking $100,000. Yes, it's $63 million worth of work. And we could win the case because they're public funds. You can't write IOUs on public funds. But in 2010, I saved the state of California, the government, from folding, from collapsing, which is amazing to me. But Detroit, the city of Detroit, had gone bankrupt, and California was very close to doing so. Anyway, I lost my job at age 60. And it took me 5 years till they finally kidnapped my kids. Because for 5 years, I was fighting a layperson's accusations that were done by my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and her brother. They were calling once a week and saying outrageous lies and using CPS to somehow get our children. I don't know what it was, their obsession, but they never liked me from the beginning of our marriage, which was 30 some years ago. I have 42 years of marriage experience. And I know my wife 32 years of the 42. And yes, I was married once before. I did not want to see the marriage end, but it did. Anyway, this CPS case started in 2015. After 5 frustrating years of CPS not finding anything wrong with my home or family or anything else, there were falsified claims done by in-laws. They finally got a hold of the police and they wanted to really see if they could find something to nail us parents on. So they had the whole army come out. They had 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, and the detective that tracked me down. And like a fool, I opened up my yard. I also talked to them, opened up my house. I didn't have to do that. It's against my constitutional and civil rights. But I did not know better. I know now. You don't have to speak to social workers. You don't have to talk to the police. You don't have to open your home. And you certainly don't need to surrender your children. Your children only have to be surrendered if they're in danger. If their life is at risk, then yes, they can take the children and put them someplace safely. But my children were at private schools. They were not in danger. They had their own room. They had their own bathroom and bedroom, and the house was huge and big. The yard was big. There was no problems. It was just these in-laws that were trying to be so vindictive. And it was very, very hard and difficult when this happened. Anyway, this is supposed to be a celebration of mothers, and I really want to tell all the mothers listening that you're very beautiful people to raise your children. And it's a special day to honor mothers. My mother was alive, I would, but she's in heaven. And she was a beautiful mom, and I have wonderful memories of my mom. So today was a special time for me to have two of my 6 children with me today, and their friend and my son's fiance, and my youngest son, who's still a teenager, had his friend over with him. And we all went out to eat at the old spaghetti factory in Newport Beach, California. Yes, I'm from California. I'm broadcasting from Surf City, USA, 3 blocks from the ocean. And I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. Typically, Monday through Friday, I'm on at 10 a.m. And on the weekends, I come on at 8 a.m. In the evening, I'm on every night at 7 p.m., except like tonight, there was an exception to the rule. There have been times that I've had early or later times with my evening show and also my morning show. I will let you know. Tonight was hard to do because you're sitting in a little ferry boat in the middle of Newport Bay and you're stuck. And to rescue can come and get the boat going again and finish its trip. But that delayed me about a good hour and 40 minutes. Well, actually, it's longer than that because the show's an hour, so it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Wow, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Supposed to start at 7. I didn't start to 8:40, so that's I started an hour and 40 minutes late. But I'm here because I care. I really do care. Your case is very hard and difficult, and I'm really sorry you have to go through this. It's really terrible what you've gone through. Fighting CPS is your worst nightmare of your life. They're not friendly. They're not transparent. They're vindictive. They're nasty. They're rude. They do not like elders or seniors or mothers or fathers or kinship. They like none of the grandparents involved. It's sad. Not all CPS is bad, but there are a lot of them out there that are bad. I call them rogues. And they're for the purpose of making money. The purpose of making money. Making money is the root of all evil. Now, I went to church today and I was praying for a lot of the people on my show. A lot of you experiencing hurts. There's a guy that just called me he used to live in Maine and he went down to Florida and he called me from Mississippi tonight. And he was telling me about his case. And it sounds like a horrible, horrible case of some injustice. I'm trying to still understand it. He's going to talk to me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. So what he was doing, this guy spoke on my show a couple months ago. He's supposed to email me the issue, but it would take too long. I asked him if he wanted to talk in the show, and at this time he doesn't want to. He said there was an emergency protection order served on me and my children removed in February 2018 and January 2018. The federal right to lie case came out. I want you to help fly me out. I want you to help fly me out to you to help me with a case. I'll give you 50% of my $10 million lawsuit. 40% to my children are there educated, another 10% to me. Now, I can prove the corruption went all the way to the governor, LePage at the time. I was pro se. I sent proof of the perjury and of fabricated evidence to the governor. The governor prompted his top day of the state at the time to be a family judge to sit on my case. I also had a hospital change from paper documents to computer. I'm not a drug addict nor ever been convicted of drug charge. I'm 42 years old. I did a citizen arrest on the judge. The judge Omar in the state of Maine has retired 2 or 3 months later. I had no representation this whole time, besides a couple lawyers I fired. I did the whole case myself. And he talked to me for a good half an hour. He supposedly has $1 million lawsuit. But there's no guarantee that you'll see any money. But it sounds interesting, and I know they're ready to go through. And I love to. Here we go. Got someone coming in. Ryzen Rare Jim. Good to meet you, Ryzen Rare Jim. And you are Margaret from Utah. Well, thank you for introducing yourself. And what is your case about, Ryzen Rare Jim, Margaret? What is your case? A social worker had the nerve to walk into my parents' house when he was told by my mother 3 times and my daughter-in-law, oh dear, he stopped short. Let me, your daughter-in-law, what happened? I hope you're going to finish this, Margaret. I hope you do. Right now, if you're texting in a message such as a comment or a question should pertain to CPS, please state your name, your city or county, and your state, and of course the country, because this is a worldwide live stream. I've talked to over 23 countries, including the USA. I've also talked to every state in the USA, including the District of Columbia. Please tell me about your case from beginning to where you're at. Now, these countries I have are start there in Indonesia, go to Bangladesh, to India, then up to the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia and Libya, then to the continent of Africa, to Liberia, and then to Sudan, and then back in the central west coast is the Republic of Congo, and then over to Rwanda near Lake Victoria, and then down to Mozambique, and then down to South Africa. 2 of the provinces have called in South Africa. Then we go up to Europe, and it's England, Scotland, and Wales. And then, of course, Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond, we go to North America, and I've had 4 provinces in Canada. Again, all 50 states in the USA, people have called in, some 2 or 3 or 4 times as much. And then the District of Columbia. Then down to South America, down south the border, Mexico. Then down to South America, north of Brazil, Grenada on the East Coast. Then over the South Pacific to New Zealand, including indigenous tribe there, the Maoris, have called in. And then Australia, the land down under, and both states there, Queen Victoria and Queensland. Those 2 states, Queensland and Queen Victoria. And they've called in with cases. So it is a worldwide stream with a lot of people that talked on my show. Now, another way besides texting messages, you can be my guest. To be a guest on my live stream is all you have to do is send an email to my show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. In that email, say you want to be Bob's Saturday morning show, Friday night show, Wednesday night show, Tuesday morning show, Monday night. You just pick the evening or the morning and then one day of the week. And Grace will send you a link to get on StreamYard, which is the application I use to broadcast on YouTube. She'll give that link, it'll take you there. And if you get knocked off, reload the link again because it's good for the show. That's all there is to it. Now I can take up to 9 of you as a guest. I can take up, including me, as 10 people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Now she'll send you that link so you can get on, and then she'll go over the rules. No eating or smoking on the live stream, and no names, no names of any of the people involved in the case. And she'll tell you some other things, how to adjust your audio and your video and whatnot. Now I'm going to put my number up there because some people have already tried to call in, and I would like to take a caller. There's my number, 626-698-0990. And it's up there. Now, Margaret was talking, and she is from, oh boy, forget already. She just told me too. Margaret is from Utah. Utah is where Margaret's from. She goes by Risen Rare Gem. Anyway, that's Margaret. She introduced herself. And she said a social worker had the nerve to walk into her parents' home where he was told by my mother 3 times and my daughter-in-law that I didn't live there. The mother did not live there. Wow, that's weird. CPS been after my son for 9 years. I'm not going to fall into CBS's trap of them taking my lost child. Well, I'm glad you're not, Margaret, but I'd like to know more. And my phone number's up if you want to call in and talk about your story. You can call in at 626-698-0990. And you can ask, to speak to me, introduce yourself and where you're from. And I'll let you talk. Now, whether you're a guest on my show or talking, you automatically be enrolled into a free 15-minute Zoom private consultation with one of the best attorneys in fight CPS is Vincent W. Davis. Vincent W. Davis. He's a really loving man. He really wants to help your case. He has 39 years of fighting CPS and getting children back. He's got back thousands of children. He once was in foster care himself, so he knows about the foster care system. But Mr. Davis is the real thing. And whether you call or you guest, you get a free 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis. And that is worth it to a lot of people. If you're interested, you let me know. I'll ask you too. And then I'll make sure that my show producer knows who you are and that you're qualified and that she'll set up the private consultation there. The private consultation. Now, we're talking about in Utah with Rise and Rare, who is Margaret, about a terrible CPS case that somehow was trying to hunt down the mother, I think it was. Now, Margaret says, CPS has been after my son for 9 years. They've been after her son for 9 years. The child was only 3 years old. I'm not going to fall in the CPS trap of them taking my last child. Why would they trap you? What are they doing to trap you? What is going on? I need more details about this, Margaret. I need more details. Margaret from Utah. And I say, if you want to call in, you're welcome to call in. You're welcome to call in. You're welcome to call in. Now, for some of you just joining in or listening, this is a later podcast. I mean, live stream, and normally it starts at 7 o'clock, but it was delayed to 8:40. I got caught with a Mother's Day expedition on a ferry boat in Newport Bay. Yes, they still have ferry boats. This is a 3-car ferry boat, and there's 4 or 5 of them operating, and the one I was on broke down. Anyway, I want to help you. I'm here to help you. That's what I love to do best. I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father and a husband, and I'd do anything to help you not make the same mistakes I did. I've created 5 laws, 5 rules. 1, you hire an attorney. You probably say, wait a minute, I got an attorney, a court-appointed attorney. That is not an attorney. That is an easy way for CPS to control your case. If they know you're low income, they're going to try to promote you this attorney that is not trained in juvenile law or family law or dependency law. They're only trained in criminal law. And you're going to have a hard time with your case. A very hard time with your case. And so, getting this attorney is very important. And I already have one. You should call 3 attorneys. I'm giving you one already. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He's been fighting CPS for 39 years and got back thousands of children. He's a criminal law attorney. He once was in foster care himself as a small boy. So he knows about the system. And believe me, if you get him, I got him. He saved. He got my 2 sons back. He got my sons two back. So that was really, really remarkable. Now, Margaret, I really want to help you with your case. What did they do? What did they do when your son was being trying to take by CPS? What were they trying to do? What were they doing wrong? I need to know more information, Margaret. Now, Margaret is from Utah, and she says that she has a scary case there. I hope that you've listened to my show before and know about these 5 rules. I'll just explain rule number 1 is get a real attorney. And I got one of the 3 you should get quotes on. You always want to get quotes on 3 things. When I buy a new TV, I want to get 3 separate quotes. The same thing with buying a computer or a car or anything else. I get 3 quotes. So that goes for attorneys. Now, Vincent Davis is a perfect choice. He has everything you need. The only downside may be the expense because his retainer for LA County is $5,000 to start off with. He's a $500 an hour attorney. I know if you're in Georgia, it'd be a $120,000 retainer. Different parts of the world and country, where he has different rates. So if you want to know, I can find out for you and get back and talk to you. Now, I work at another job here with CPS. I work from 8 to 10 o'clock and from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock by calling potential new clients for Mr. Davis, trying to see if they wanted to be secured with Mr. Davis, retained by Mr. Davis. So I talk to them. Also, it's very, very, very important that you listen and take good notes. And that leads me to the next step, which is getting your documentation going. Now, Brandy was going to tonight talk to me about how to organize the documentation. Said she had a good way. Because I'm late, I think she maybe not make it. Maybe she'll be on tomorrow. But if you hear me out there, Brandy, I've not forgotten you. Documentation is so important in there. And one of the most important pieces of paper, the documentation, is called the incident time log. The incident time log is recording all the incidents that have happened to you since the start of your CPS case. So you record them all on notebook paper. And you devote the first line into either the location or the phone number that you talk to. Then you want to put the date and time you talk to them. And then you want to have a sentence that summarizes what the incident was. That's your number 2 line. Summarizes what the incident was and records on the number 2 line. And you do this for every incident. Oh, the third part of the incident is you write a summary of what transpired, like how was it solved. If you don't know the answer, leave it blank for a while until you do get the answer. But if you do your documentation incidents, you'll be able to remember things a lot better than trying to do it all in your head. Um, okay, your phone is temporarily shut down. I'm so sorry. But I'll be on again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And you can call me then on my show tomorrow at 10. You've talking to Mrs. Davis and Mrs. G. Okay, great. I'm glad you have, Margaret. I have a complicated case that has been past history of losing parental rights. That is terrible. It's hard to lose your parental rights. It really is hard to lose them. Now, Margaret says, Rise and Rare Jim from Utah says, I have a complicated case that has been past history of losing parental rights, and that is terrible. I'm being stalked by the CPS. That's further terrible. This is so bad that it's now gotten to stalking. That is wrong. I wish I did hear positive things from CPS workers. I've only had one worker on here that identified herself as a CPS worker, and that was Carol from Maryland, who had a clinical psychology degree, spent 6 months being trained before she worked in CPS. And she was an older woman with a lot of experience with families. So it was nice to speak to her. I wish other social workers would come on my show and talk. Also, policemen, too. This is open to anybody that wants to talk about CPS. If you're a CPS worker, I challenge you to sit through one of my shows and listen to what I have to say. And and you'd be quite surprised the stories that come from people from places that you wouldn't suspect it. Now I have about 25 minutes left of my live stream. I'm going with a clock, a timer that I had set. And so when I started at 8:40, that means it's going to go pretty much to 9:40. I know it's late for you guys on the East Coast. It's already going to be 12:40 in the morning. But it's important for me to be here because somebody's going to ask for help. And I want to be there. I'm on here twice a day, 14 live streams a week. And I've been here for 19 months. I've talked to over 1,500 people or more. Because there's no friends out there. The CPS is very corrupt. You have to have a real attorney to navigate and deal with CPS. You're like Alice in Wonderland, fall in the rabbit hole. And you've gone, met the Chester cat, and that cat led you to nowhere. Room after room, you go nowhere. Now we can talk about a lot of things besides my rules. The rules get kind of ugh. But I was talking about documentation and how important it is. And you like to have it because if you have a notebook with 3 rings that's really thick and can carry a lot of papers, then it's easy to meet with an attorney, open the 3 rings, pop out a page, make a copy, or use a work copy, whatever. That's why your notebook should be big enough and have a 3 ring binder built into it. Then you can put down whatever you want to put down. When you get court papers, you hole punch them and you put them in order. Everything is chronically dated. So you put the oldest first. Same thing goes with the instant time log. You're going to have 3 or 4 or 5, 10 or 100 incidents. And from a year now, if you're not writing it down, you're not going to remember them all. You're not going to remember them all. And right now, I'd expect at least a 3-year minimum when you're involved in CPS. I know it's late at night too. For some of the people, it's a late night, bewitching hour. Now, the Child Protection System, which is I call CPS, was a government entity that was created in '62 by Congress that directed social services to create a group of social workers that would protect their children from neglect and abuse and also do family reunification. I got to get a new tie, it looks like. Oh boy. Get a new computer, get my car fixed, get a car, get paid when I do work. I have work that I've still been paid for that I did 4 weeks ago. And it's hard. Um, I want you, if you can, call in because it's so nice to have someone talk about their case and me talking myself. My phone number is 626 698 0990. And tonight from Utah, we've had Margaret, Rise and Rare Jim, who has also talked to Mr. Davis and Mrs. G. So she's fully familiar with the law office of Vincent W. Davis. Now, Margaret further says because CPS failed at talking him at birth, they've tried to take him at his first doctor's appointment. Wow. Yours is a very complicated case. I can see that right now. think that maybe the time is later. A lot of people didn't come onto my show that normally would. So anyway, um, besides my rules, there's other topics we can talk about, um, like what is a 388 motion and when to use it and how to do it. What is the ICWA 1978 Act, the Indian Child Welfare Act? Um, as I say, there's lots of things that we can talk about. No question about that. Now, one thing that's been brought to my attention recently is I think it was Betty Joe, or it could have been Margaret, that said it's very important that we talk to our kids before CPS does, because our kids can be easily coached or changed if things are really hurting or nothing. You need to make sure your kids are very silent about what they say or anything, because they can risk ruining the family. I don't mean they need to lie. I'm not talking about lying. But sometimes kids can say the wrong thing and get you in all kinds of trouble. And that's important that they're on your side. I have a dad right now named David who's trying very hard to get his daughter back, and his daughter made 3 reports that came out false. But David can't get the medical records. He's from San Marino in Santa Barbara County, and his case is pretty bad, where his daughter has accused him 3 times of improper behavior. And, the mother is not to be seen, and the sister is siding with her niece. It's a real terrible event there for David, but he's hired Mr. Davis. He's hired Mr. Davis, and that should work out good. I was hoping that someone would ask a question. um, we can go on to rule number 3. Rule number 3 is where you do not talk to social workers and you do not let them in your home. You don't open your door to anybody, police or anybody. And you certainly don't allow them to search your home or take your children or talk to them, because if you do, it could get really troublesome. It could get really, really troublesome. Hmm. Um, the reason why you don't answer the door and let them in because they're going to find something wrong with your home. That's why they're wanting to see in there. Also, how do you know that's a CPS, not a policeman coming to your door with a loaded gun that wants to shoot 5 times and ask questions later? Too many people have been shot at the door, opening the door. So unless you know someone's at the door, don't open it. If it's that important, they can write you a letter, they can call you with your phone number, or they can text you, or as I say, they can send an email if they have your email. So, the best way I do it is tell my family there's a special knock or ring at the door, and we'll let them in. Otherwise, the door stays closed. And I tell my family members to do the same thing. I educate them. Don't answer the door to strangers. Don't open to strangers. There are strangers. And the same rules you're told as a little kid should apply today. Don't answer the door because you don't know them. They're strangers. And they're certainly not friendly or on your side. They have their minds made up that you've done something really terrible. And that's why they are talking to you the way they talk to you. That is wrong. That is wrong. So don't open the door, don't talk to them. And that goes for both police and social workers. And the only way they're going to get in is they have a warrant. It's a signed court document signed by a judge with a wet signature on a legitimate sheet of paper with a legitimate information. There's a lot of fake warrants going around there, and CPS notorious use fake warrants. Um, there's another thing that occurs too. If you're outside and you run into social workers in your yard, be courteous to them, but you don't need to talk to them. You can tell them very importantly, like, I'm sorry, this is a legal matter. My constitutional right says in all legal matter, I'm supposed to be defended by an attorney. I have to get a hold of my attorney and talk to him before we talk any further. And your attorney will tell you what to do and not to do. The main thing is you not talk or speak to social workers or police. It's simple yes, no answers. So if you see them in the yard, just be nice to them and tell them that you're going to get your attorney and you'll speak to them then. Do not meet at their office or in your home. Try a neutral place like the library, Starbucks, McDonald's, someplace you record them. And don't forget to record them. You have a right because they will lie. They will lie. So you do have every right to do that. Then there is medical trafficking, which has taken place regularly lately. It's where your child's sick or ill, you bring them into urgent care, you bring them into the hospital, emergency room, and you tell your doctor that. And the next thing you know, a social worker overhears it and they try to take your children away because they think you did something wrong to the children. Be careful of medical trafficking with trying to take your children there. Unless they have a warrant, you can't surrender your child. That also goes for birth of a new child. A lot of you are mothers and going to have a child born in the hospital. And social workers are hanging out there and they will try to take away your newborn. But you got to be very upfront with them. And on the front, you got to direct them what's going to happen next and what you do and so forth. It's really important that you have all the information. So be careful. And if you're pregnant, don't allow them in the room. You have every right to say who's there, and do not give up your child. You tell them they have to have a warrant. Even if they have a policeman, their policeman is not a warrant. All it is intimidation factor. The policeman is supposed to protect the social worker. But the social worker uses the policeman all the time to try to get their child or to get their bones or whatever back. It's so corrupt and so sad. So watch the medical trafficking. And rule number 4 is how to look up things. How is your formation of words? Now, it's a question answer thing, and what you want to do is have your questions made first. Then have now rule 4 is the placement of those words is so important when you go to a Google browser. Now, I'm not trying to say one is better, but I find that Google works the best. You start off by the city, and then the state, and then the country, and then CPS. If you're in the United States, you don't have to put country. But if you're outside the United States, you need to put the country you're from. And make sure you send enough money for to get the file the ticket and so forth. Now, I have seen that when you sit there and do a search, if you don't have the phrases right, you won't get what you're looking for. So it's city, state, country, and then CPS. And I'll bring in a lot of CPS info. Then if you want to ask more questions about CPS, you can do so. You can do so. You can make defining a lot better that way. You can make it a lot more refining that way. And if you refine it afterwards, CPS, put what you're looking for. How to file a 388 motion. What is a 180 hearing? What is a 160 hearing? What is the ICWA Act of 1978? So what you can do is you can you can do it better that way. You can do it better that way. Now, the last rule that I have is the rule that is your documents. You should make copies of all your documents and put them in an envelope and keep it with your notebook. Important documents are birth certificates, marriage certificates, driver's license, your grade reports of your children, your shot records, all those things you make copies of, put in envelopes so you have them readily handy because CPS will need some information. So I've talked about my 5 rules many times over, but the most important thing is all you mothers out there know that you're well loved and well cared for. I care about you, Mom, especially if you're going through the CPS nightmare. So many of you opened up your hearts, like Leica in South Africa. It is hard. It's hard going this alone, but I'm here for you. Now, my time is up. I've already talked a good hour, 7 minutes. I know it's late. It's 9:40 something my time, and it's already 12 something, almost 1 o'clock in the morning, East Coast. And everywhere else is different times around the world. But I want to thank y'all for joining me and knowing that you always have a home here twice a day that I'm on. I've been doing this now for 19 months, so I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm here for you, and I care about you. I really want you to help you as best as I can. So keep in touch. Keep fighting for your kids. God bless you. And again, happy Mother's Day. This is Bob Pace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.